Hopefully everything's good. Hey, aloha, love tribe. Guess who's here with me? One of my buddies, Muzz. He is somebody who went from punk rock to venture capital. He has backed over 1,500 companies as an angel investor. He is the co-founder of Lightning Ventures and the CEO of Thunder Funder. Holy cow, dude. You're a busy rock star. Welcome, Mike.
I
Woo, Thunder
am.
Funder.
We are busy these days. We are putting the fun in funding, or at least that's what we're trying to do
Oh, I
with
like that.
Thunder Funder.
Okay, so I found out about this when we were standing in line in Nashville, and you're like, Val, check it out. I did this and I didn't get to see your talk. So tell everybody who you are and what's Thunder Funder and why is it going to make such a monstrous difference for those of us who want to invest in startups, especially Bitcoin startups.
Okay, and even if you don't want to invest in Bitcoin startups and have no desire to do that, hopefully Thunder Funder is still a place where you like to hang out, right? Maybe if you don't drink alcohol, but you have friends that go to bars, right? And you hang out with friends that go to bars. That's what we're trying to do with Thunder Funder. So even if you aren't really interested in, oh man, I don't want to sign up, I don't want to invest, maybe you can still get rolling to network and find jobs or put your project up there, do all sorts of other things. So yes, as my good friend Val said, I am the mud man. And my company was Lightning Ventures, right? Which is still around. And we offered the world's largest Bitcoin focused angel investing network, right? A group that you could join for free if you wanted to invest low amounts into Bitcoin startups that you know and love, like Relay or Coin Corner or Swan or Strike or Foundation Devices or whatever. If you wanted to get starting and get access to some of those companies, you would join Lightning Ventures. And we were able to put those investments out because I remember when I started investing in early stage companies, it was very hard to find those deals. How do we find deals? How do I these things, right? Whether it's flying cars or AI or all sorts of kind of things. How do I get those deals and who's sending them to me and whatever? So if you're interested in Bitcoin deals, right, and Bitcoin startups and those companies, you would join Lightning Ventures and then you would get in our deal flow and see. But those people had to be accredited, okay? Accredited investors. And I do like to joke, everyone's accredited when you click the right button.
Okay,
But
tell everybody what that means, Muzz. What does accredited mean?
well, okay. So back in the 80s, actually,
Old days.
they came up with this thing where they said, you know what? If you are not of this status, you cannot invest in private companies. Okay. And that status was determined on income. Okay. So right now, you basically have to have $1 million. Your net worth needs to be $1 million, and that's excluding your primary residence, right? One way that you can qualify, or maybe you made over $200,000 a year last year. And I love this part of the SEC's language. And you have the expectation of making it this year, right? So if you made 200 grand last year and you expect to make 200,000 this year, then click the button and you accredit yourself based on your income. And it varies if you're actually married. I think it goes up to 300,000 for you and your spouse, etc. Right. And if you're a positive thinker like Val, right, and channel the positivity, then if you made that 200 and some thousand last year and you're thinking positive, you darn well expect it to happen this year. So then you click the button there. There's also some other new things, right? Like if you have a Series 65 license, which anyone can get, right? You could actually just pass a test from FINRA, do a bunch of studying and have all kinds of fun. You get that 65 license yourself there and you're accredited. There's a few other ways to become accredited with some boys club type of FINRA designations. It's actually new. They just put that in a couple of years ago. That didn't used to be there. It was pretty much income only, but it's not based on experience or based on anything else. It's not like there's a test, right? Which that would be like a million times better, right? If there was some generic test on the SEC's website and it was 25 questions and you passed that and you were then an accredited investor, that would be like so much of a better system. But the way the SEC designed it is you click the button and you self-certify You're certifying yourself, saying that you're an accredited investor, and that's pretty much what's expected, and that's the process for Lightning Ventures. So we built that up. We did a bunch of great deals through there and did as much as we could. But what about everyone else? What about everyone else
Yeah.
that isn't comfortable clicking the right button? What can we do for them? And our number one request is people want to invest using Bitcoin, right? They want to be able to invest $500 into Strike, and you know what, pay from their Strike wallet or pay from in Bitcoin, etc. And Angel has pretty much told us they're not going to do that, and they have no desire to, right? So Bitcoin's not coming to that platform. So can we do some other things like that? That might be pretty cool with pushing the envelope forward in how we fund deals. So that is when we launched Thunder Funder, which is when we were in line chatting, catching up in Nashville. That's when we announced it.
Okay, well, so then let's talk about, what are the benefit like, here's where I always get like, messed up with all of our stupid regulations, right? Like, if I have X number of dollars or sats, I can go to any gambling casino in the United States and go plop $100,000 on red, and that's okay. But if I want to go take my $100,000 and invest it in somewhere, the government has to tell me that I'm capable of actually doing that. And so, clearly we have a difference between, it's okay to go gamble your life away, but God forbid you go invest in a company that you believe in and you can read, the documents that the company puts out. So, can you help people understand, like, why, what the model is that you guys are going to be doing, and why, it's going to be beneficial for all of us little guys who don't have, millions of dollars on our balance sheet yet?
Well, first off, it is pretty silly that the government will allow you to buy something, an unlimited amount of something called dog whiff hat.
Yeah.
That is allowed and perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to put $2,000 into Crowd Health or Start9 or one of these type of companies, oh no, absolutely, we can't allow that. And by the way, that's where a lot of money's made. That's where life-changing money is made, is investing
Mm.
in a lot of these early stage startups. And there's about 35 disclaimers that you have to click that says, I understand I could lose all my money and da, 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 all the way down the line. And that certainly does happen too. Things definitely don't work out, but it is kind of silly that I can bet everything I own on a horse race. Okay. And that is totally fine. I may not even have to show my ID to do that. But I can't invest in startups. So just like everything out there, right? It's a scam.
Yeah.
It's a scam. They're not looking after your best interest, even though their job is supposed to be to protect you. Right. And in a lot of ways, it kind of prevents retail people from being able to participate in some of these really exciting things. Like if you got a deal, right? If you were around in 2013 and you were kind of dialed up and maybe you were in Lightning Ventures, if there was a Lightning Ventures or some of these other things, and maybe you got a deal for Coinbase and back when they just sold Bitcoin. And you said, you know what, this sounds kind of cool. Like, I love Bitcoin and this is like a Bitcoin exchange. And you put in $1,000. That would hands down be like the best investment that you've ever made, period. Right. And who knew that they went on to be, shit coinery and everything else. But that was hands down the best investment of your life, whether you exited some along the way or whatever happened there, for sure, even like outpacing Bitcoin. Over that time period, right? Which a lot of those things have. Okay. So, if you were kind of dialed in and you got some of these really cool out there ideas, which is one of the things I loved about angel investing in general and all kinds of things, is you're like a living, breathing API for like really cool stuff. So, whether some guy is building a lawnmower that does some kind of AI, lawn cutting thing or whatever is going on in the world, you're like right there with a front seat of like what the trends are and what's going on and all of these kind of things. So I really love that stuff. So it allows people to actually participate and get involved and to learn along the way too, because there's a lot to learn, both with what the founders learn and what the companies go through, as well as your own angel investing education, because like it takes a while.
Yeah, it does take a while. I remember we were having our conversation a couple weeks ago, and we were talking a little bit about, we've got some local businesses here and we're trying to understand, what are ways that we can all support local businesses instead of just everything gets directed towards, the big box stores, the big box companies, Amazon, obviously. Um, because the more creep that we get with all of these big companies coming in, mom and pops are getting pushed out because they can't afford the rent. There's not enough traffic. There's not enough, customers, et cetera. And we were talking a little bit about there's, in my town, there's a toy store. There's a, mom and pop's kids toy store. And, the kids just love being able to go touch the toys and look at them and everything. And I was like, what is a way that we could help these kinds of, small businesses stay afloat, hopefully get bigger, of course. But like the crowdfunding model and getting people on board, like understanding, like, I'm really interested in this kind of a business. So I don't have, a ton of money, but what if I can put $100 or $500 or my allowance into this? And so that creates a lot more intentionality of where you're going to shop. It also helps you want to be a better supporter of that business, perhaps, and you're going to start marketing them and telling your friends, hey, go check this stuff out. And so rather than just, okay, I got my Schwab account and everything's sitting over there in my index funds, it's like, no, I'm a part of this. And so what's been your experience so far with people feeling like a shift in how they're promoting and celebrating the businesses that they're getting to invest in?
So that's great. It's a great question to think about how do you align your users and people with you, right? These are the people who love your company, right?
Mhm.
But so what you were talking about with crowdfunding, like the word has gotten kind of jumbled, kind of maybe on purpose. In fact, we had something on our website, on the Thunder Funder website in the final FINRA review, where it said you could learn about angel investing. Okay. And they made us take that off. Okay. Because they don't want to, they made us take a lot of things off, by the
Wow.
way. But, just to conflate angel investing with crowdfunding. But what is crowdfunding? Because people think of crowdfunding and they think like, oh, Patreon,
Mhm.
GoFundMe. This lady has, her dog needs a surgery, and this is going on over here, and this guy's making, and there's all these kind of things, and things like Geyser, which we invested in, right? Crowdfunding. Okay, donation based kind of things like Andy from Crowd Health. Okay, Crowd Health, crowdfunding healthcare. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, and then it's gotten such a point where they kind of try to call it equity crowdfunding to like distinguish that, like,
Mhm.
hey, this is crowdfunding under a certain regulation, right? That FINRA allows, okay, companies to raise from, but you're actually getting equity,
Yeah,
okay?
that's a big difference.
And there's a lot of creative ways to do this. There's companies that are doing Reg CF rounds for companies where it's just debt, right? So if you were an investor and you wanted to get, a certain percentage equity, and this lady owns, a dozen juice bars, and she wants to open a dozen more, right? And she agrees to these terms and a payment. That's like another way that you can invest, right? You can do it with debt, and you can do it with interest and all these other things, but we're doing it with like high growth startups, right? A lot of these companies um, are not paying dividends. Okay. And we
Mhm.
want to keep it open. We might be able to do something really cool with mining companies where you do get a dividend. And like we're looking at a lot of other really cool things that aren't just that. But if you look at some of the larger companies that did these raises, like Substack just did one,
Mm.
Mercury, the bank, just did one. There's a lot of others, right? So why would Substack do that, right? Substack is, a unicorn, and they have all this money and everything else. Why would Substack do a Reg CF round and raise, I don't know, $8 million or so from their fans? Okay, because it gives your fans and the people who
Yeah.
use Substack and love it and publish on it and whatever, it gives them a chance to invest a couple of $100 and be further aligned with your success to succeed, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. That's really powerful. And then, of course, as a founder, you get access to that list of folks, right? If 1,000 people or 100 people invest $1,000, those are 100 people who probably love your business, right?
Yeah.
And that's only $100,000. So you get to utilize those folks and do things with them. So in as far as Bitcoin startups
Yeah.
go in the Reg CF, I mean, we're breaking new ground here. I mean, this is it. Maybe there's a couple of Bitcoin startups out there, actually in Europe. They have a similar Reg CF law in Europe. I believe Relay did around, and I think Coin Corner did around.
Okay.
And they did it on one of these other type of generalist platforms where there's like 100 things on there and they're doing everything. It wasn't really focused on what they were doing. But I think if you asked them if it was worth it, I think they would tell you that it was a ton of work and it didn't really fully meet their expectations for how it went. But all in all, it was still worth it. So I'm hoping that we can improve on that um on that status quo, because that's pretty much what everyone thinks after going through it.
And so I remember when we were talking, you said it's not just like, yeah, I'm going to go put up my business and I want to go raise some money, just as simple as we could do on Patreon and Geyser and whatnot. Like people have to kind of jump through quite a bit of hoops to make this happen. What kind of businesses are ideal candidates for Thunder Funder?
So we're focusing on, of course, open source companies, right?
Hmm.
Which is a little bit outside of what Lightning Ventures was doing. So there could be some Noster stuff in there. Maybe there's a couple of Noster clients that are businesses that we were looking at through Lightning Ventures or we wanted to do there. Maybe there's other things like Federated Computer or Start9, right? Not necessarily Bitcoin startups, but are in that world. Okay. Something like maybe we can do some later stage things. Maybe we can get some of those later stage companies that we were able to do through Lightning Ventures. Maybe we can get a strike offering on there. Wouldn't that be great?
Hmm.
Right? And a way to for Strike to raise 5 million bucks from the plebs.
Yeah,
Okay.
dude.
And that's not just US people, but that's globally because we're allowed to take investors that are outside the US, right? With some limitations there. All right. The
Okay.
companies have to be US based on the license that we have right now. Um, so, that would be really cool to leverage everyone that could want to invest in your company. And they're getting ultimately maybe not the exact same, but very similar terms as the suits, right? Those
Mhm.
evil people out there, right? The pension firms,
Yeah.
okay, and the University of XYZ, and this fund and that fund and XYZ Capital Partners, and all those kind of people are investing in this strike round. And it would be really cool if Jack Mahler's right afterwards said, "Hey, and now we're going to open up this pleb round." I think that would be pretty cool.
I love Pleb Round. That's we need to, like, do some fun with Pleb Round for, some promo. Just it's so important, I think, that people start to get their hands in the companies and their hands in business. It's so a lot of us, even with Bitcoin, a lot of people are like, I'm just going to hodl and stick it over here and go get on with my life. And I don't want to do anything. And that's fine. It's not for everybody to go, turn into a psychopath like us. Um, but I think the more that you touch things and get involved with it, obviously the broader your perspective gets on life. And then you can start thinking about other opportunities for your own business, your own passion, your own career, your own purpose, your own mission. And so, what's the max? I think you had said that there was a max that people could raise in this kind of a CF thing.
So, the max is actually $5 million a year
Okay.
for each company. So you could do that all at one time, or you could do that over a few sessions, right? Maybe you raise 1 million and then you wanted to go back and raise a little bit more. But the max is 5 million. But there are other things, right? There's this thing called Reg A and Reg A plus, like these mini IPOs where you can raise tons of money,
Mhm.
20 to I think maybe even $75 million for some of these type of things. So that's quite a bit down there. We actually don't have a license to do that. A Reg CF funding portal, which is what we are licensed to do. We can just do Reg CF offerings, right? We can just do Reg CF offerings. But if we were to get a full broker dealer license in the future, then we could think about doing some of these other sort of offerings as well.
Okay, amazing. And so we've got your website pulled up here, thunderfunder.com. Um, Tell everybody like why, if they sign up, is this just for getting information about new possible investments or what's currently happening? What are people signing up for or logging in?
Well, that's a good question. What are people signing up for?
Mhm.
Well, we don't have a live deal yet, but we're working on it right now, and
Okay.
we're getting that in place, right? It looks like LN Bits will still be our first deal. We're
Nice.
working on getting that live very soon. Bring In is another company.
Oh, cool.
Bring In, that is close as well. And we're talking to some other later stage companies. We're talking to Blockware Solutions, which is a monster of a company. Jolts won the pitch contest, one of the tracks in Nashville.
Cool.
We're getting ready to start the process of onboarding them, and we're making our way through the process of getting these deals live. So in the time being, what we're doing is trying to complete a profile section and some messaging so that maybe a community can start.
Nice.
Okay. So if you wanted to set your profile to public or private, if you wanted to put in your social stuff there, if you were a content creator, maybe you listed your shows or an RSS feed or whatever. Okay. Maybe we got you some kind of badge for being a content creator there. Okay. Whether you are a founder or a builder, whether you're technical and you have a project that you're working on and you're looking for maybe some funding or some people or some co-founder speed dating or something else. Okay.
Mhm.
Making the platform discoverable, okay, for people to find each other and just get a basic profile set up. That's what we're working on right now. We've got a message box that's almost completed, to where people could send messages back and forth on the platform. And that's really what we're also working on too, is while there are no deals live, how do we make this a platform that people, what if we can pipe in Bitcoiner jobs? What if we can bring in
Mhm.
some of that feed of jobs on the platform and just kind of have it in front of you, as another play? Maybe we can add a troll box. We're kind of joking about adding a little troll box.
What's a
Um,
troll box?
it's just a little box that you have in the corner that you can log in and start to just chat and chat away. It used to be on Poloniex and I think BitMEX. I don't know if they still have a troll box or not, but it's just kind of a funny little box there. So we'll see. Um, but yeah, that's it. So we're putting a little bit of work into getting the platform up and running and the profiles and everything else. We're working diligently on getting these deals live, and we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
I love it, and I know it's such a cool I mean, if we don't have businesses that are starting to understand whether they're Bitcoin businesses or businesses that wanna start integrating Bitcoin into their, into their workflow, it's like we're gonna still be in this, like, little echo chamber forever. Um, what about, um what about education companies? Are you guys doing any, like, do you think that would be something that you would be investing in? Are you always looking for companies that can get an exit? Like, what are again, trying to understand, what, like, I have a couple projects. I'm like, would I want to go through all the stuff with Thunder Funder, or am I just going to be better off just getting some zaps and donations on Geyser?
Well, there's a big difference between raising from investors or
Mhm.
doing equity crowdfunding versus raising on Geyser
Yeah.
or a donation code
Yeah.
or something else. And a lot of the education stuff really works better under the donation model,
Yeah.
like something like a Me Premier Bitcoin.
Totally.
Or, I know, Wiser, is a flawless, fun app to learn Bitcoin stuff. I know that they're trying to get some investors right now. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But those type of documentaries, right, educational tools for Bitcoin, they really work better on a Geyser. It's not really like an investable thing. It's very hard with education.
I
So,
know.
we really want to make sure that we are putting the best possible deals that we can on our platform, right? So we would rather focus on the quality and not the quantity.
Yeah.
So if you go to WeFunder or Start Engine or Republic or any of the big billion-dollar US Reg CF portals, there's gonna be hundreds of things that are coming at you the minute you land on that page, and it's just,
Mhm.
like, way too much. Okay, it's way too much. It's
Yeah.
everything in the world that you could imagine because that's how they make money, right? They get you on the platform and then, however you do, however you do. Like, we want to offer, like when we were running the syndicate full time, quality deals. Quality deals. Those companies you know and love that are doing great. Are they doing around right now? Can we get voltage?
Yeah.
Graham, if you're listening, can we get voltage to list on Thunder Funder?
Yeah.
Lightning Labs, if they were putting together around, if Liz, if you're listening, if they're putting together around, right? Maybe after that closes, let the plebs, something like a block stream, right? Some of these bigger companies that you might want to really invest in. This isn't like funding the Broadway musical about Satoshi with the 3D glasses and everything else. I love your ideas, Val. I love it. All right. I can't wait. I can't wait for opening night,
Oh god,
Satoshi opera. Okay. I'm all about it.
it's
Okay.
never
But
happening.
that may be a tough one for Thunder Funder with the initial goals of what I'm thinking about.
Yeah,
But that isn't to say that there aren't media companies and profitable things that could raise, right? Like, I want to leave it open. I want to think about the future. What if Bitcoin Magazine wanted to do a deal? They're
yeah,
certainly a real company. They've raised from investors before. Like, they're the perfect company to do a Reg CF funding deal because you can advertise it publicly. They could put it out to all of their people. Certainly a good deal, own a piece of the Bitcoin conference and everything else that they're doing. That would be great. And as far as like podcasters go, there is something called an RSU. It's a revenue sharing unit. I've never invested in one of these type of things, but it is possible that a podcaster or some content creator could monetize their channel and everything that they have and raise on a Reg CF funding portal. That is possible that it could happen.
but you haven't heard of anybody doing that particular one
I
yet?
have. There's a
Yeah,
whole platform that specializes in that. I don't know how they're doing. I mean, to be quite honest with you, like, I don't want anyone to think about it, but it's like they are doing it. It is possible to own a piece of a podcaster. Um, According to I haven't seen it anywhere else, but we just want to be innovative with this new license that we have, right? Bitcoin's innovative, and we're
cool.
taking something new like Reg CF. It's only been around for 12 or so years, and let's put it together and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's important that we get the money in the hands of people who are gonna deploy it intelligently. I wanna go back to the open source part because, um, we were I was talking with, Abubakar about the difference between funding an open source project versus funding, just a regular project, that's, behind closed doors with everything. How do you see that happening? Like, what open source projects are really, getting traction and getting investment? Because we obviously have OpenSats, and there's grants that are being given to, open source developers and the projects. How does that work in a for-profit mode?
Well, Bitcoin is open source, right? So we have a lot of open source protocols. We have
Uh-huh.
companies like Galloy, which is open sourcing their entire stack to run a financial company like Dread out of Jamaica is,
Yeah.
using Galloy to launch Flash, his Jamaican
Cool.
exchange. So there's a lot of open source there. There's Federated Computer, one of our portfolio companies, not a Bitcoin company, but they have basically an open source version of the Google Suite, right? Everything that you would need there with your docs, calendar, whatever, whatever. And if you're tired of every time you add an employee, you have to pay another $13 a month to Google just for an email address,
Yep.
you could pay them once and have it forever for free. And then you have to make the nice adjustment of using all of the open source stuff instead of Google, which we've been playing with and we often joke about. But so there's a lot of cool open source like Noster for sure.
Mhm.
It's nice to open it up a little bit beyond kind of a Bitcoin only, and we're in a FINRA area now. So it's a little bit different. It's great that we have an open source focus, and
Yeah.
Bitcoin falls into that for sure. But I'm learning as I go. I really am. And you just look at things that have happened, like Linux, Red Hat. Was purchased by IBM for like $36 billion, something like that, right? That's open source technology that was acquired. MongoDB is a publicly traded company. They're worth $20 billion, something like that. And that's an open source company. Docker, right? If you know devs who use Docker, every dev uses Docker, runs Docker containers, and yada yada. This is open source technology. They're a very high valued private company. There's a lot of them, right? So from everything, and I don't understand. I need to have Matt Hill from Start9 really break it down to me, but literally every banking software, the Android phone, if you use it, the infotainment unit in the car nowadays, pretty much, open source touches every part, or many parts of your life that you just don't really think about. So I'm learning as I go.
Very cool. I think let's talk about the Bitcoin environment right now and what's happening. And obviously, we're looking at, Simply Bitcoin just got deplatformed off of YouTube, and apparently they're back on now after all this nonsense. So that's fabulous. However, it's just another indicator again. Obviously, uh, Pavel just got arrested from Telegram. How are Bitcoin companies and creators gonna, keep their asses covered, going forward? Obviously, we have Nostr, we have all these other decentralized, protocols that we can play with to put our content up. But it's like, if we're a business, are we are we at risk of just all of a sudden we're getting our door knocked saying, "Oh, you were, using cryptography, or we don't like what you said, so you're under arrest." Like, how are you advising businesses to stay safe in this very, very hostile environment?
Well, I don't advise anyone
Okay.
to be safe. No, but e- we every company that we've invested in is a lawful and legal company.
Mhm.
So you have to stay legal, and the laws change right now in Europe. They're bringing in the MiCA regulations, changes everything for them. What is it? KYCing yourself if you have your own hardware wallet, or whatever's going on with their MiCA regulations. Here, three and a
Can you
half
tell
years
people what MiCA means? It's MICA, right?
I don't know what it actually stands for, but that's the European regulations that are coming in that make it so companies like Relay, right? The KYC light sort of
Mhm.
company where you could just, no sign up required, download it, do an instant payment and get paid in Bitcoin, that you can't do that anymore. So they all have to kind of comply with being registered somewhere, and that's being phased in now. So that's what's going on over there. And then over here, 3.5 years ago, with the regime change here, it's just been choke point 2.0. It's been so hard to operate. We had companies that
Yeah.
we invested in. Everyone has a plan till you get punched in the face. And that's pretty much what happened if you were a Bitcoin company here in the US for the past few years. You've just been punched in the face. And
Can you
God
explain give me an example, so the listeners know what that means and they can look out for that.
Okay, so let's just say that you were selling gift cards. Okay, you had a really cool, innovative solution where you could live off Bitcoin and you could buy these debit, reloadable debit cards with Bitcoin, and this really cool business. Okay, and maybe there was some Visa loadable cards or whatever, but that was your business, and you were doing great, and maybe you had your best month ever, and maybe you did seven figures in volume, and life is great, and you have all these other plans, and you're going to be fast tracked through Visa and this other thing, and you're going to be a program manager and you're going to be able to go into all these jurisdictions and everything's looking great for you. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, like it's over. Your bank just rugs you that you were relying on, and they say, nope, you're not a business anymore. You basically can't operate. You're done. What do? Your business goes from seven figures to zero overnight. And if you were a paranoid founder who kept, 3 years runway in the bank and knew that at any point in time this could happen because that's the industry that you're in, if
Mhm.
that was your stance, then you started to figure it out. Do we leave the US? What's Mexico like? Oh my God, it's wild, wild west in this other part of the world. Like we could be up and running there. Like forces you to be nimble and look elsewhere and think about it, right? What do we do to get the US back online? How do we start up new conversations with new banks, right? And that's not a quick change, okay? That's
Mm-mm.
not just like a new car wash, all right?
Mhm.
It's a whole process to get one of them to let you into their special club to start doing business. So it was those type of things over and over again. It was, hey, this is a really cool fintech startup that wants to bridge the gap between what we know and use every day with ACH and transfers and all of these kind of things and checking account products and bill pay, and wants to integrate Bitcoin stuff. And then no, you're not, and you're struggling for 18 months just fighting uphill to stay alive. And maybe now, just at the end of this cycle, they're starting to break through, right? Coming
Mhm.
back online, finding a way finally to get a sponsoring bank. 'Cause a lot of these banks were told, like, if you're dealing with any of these people, like, you're done. So it's
Yeah.
like the counterparty risk. Like if you were a Bitcoin startup in El Salvador, you couldn't open a bank account in El Salvador because the El Salvador bank is worried about losing their relationship with the bank in the US, right?
Mm.
So there's like a crackdown over there where like Bitcoin is legal tender, right? It's no easier to be, oh, I'm going to go to El Salvador and start a Bitcoin business and open a bank account. Like they had their own problems too. So
Wow, I didn't
hopefully
know
that's
that.
all changing.
What are some Bitcoin friendly banks for people who are listening who are thinking like, I don't want to get rug pulled if I start moving down this pathway?
Like, if you're a founder, you're starting a Bitcoin company, or if you're just what do you mean Bitcoin friendly banks?
Well, I guess both. So if you're a founder, you're starting a company that's going to be Bitcoin related company. And second, um, if your business, let's say my company, I want to be able to accept Bitcoin and do BTC Pay Server or do whatever. And I want Bitcoin on, being able to accept it and alongside fiat and all the other, stuff that I can accept. So just not that I'm a Bitcoin company. I just want to accept Bitcoin into um, my business model.
So accepting Bitcoin for your business is fine. I mean, everyone should do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, everyone should do that, and then the reporting is on you, right? There's
Mm.
there's no crackdown on that.
Okay,
That's not
good.
the problem. But, if you wanted to open, DJ Val's Bitcoin exchange,
Oh, yeah.
okay, and start doing really then you would need all of those fun things.
Well, that's like money transmitter license stuff, right? Is that what the issues were that people were running into with
There's the MTLs in all 50 states that you could get yourself, and you could put that together maybe for 2,000,000 bucks or so, and then you would own that process,
rock
okay?
and
Or
roll?
or you contract with like a, banking as a service company here in the US that makes that easier for you, with those MTLs and licenses, but you kinda, like, still need a bank if you're
Yeah,
gonna offer card products or, like, those really cool things. And not everyone can get them right now, and hopefully it only gets better. Hopefully it only gets better. um Really, I can't wait.
I can't either. It's frustrating, but I feel like, these next couple months are gonna be a shit show. I think it's gonna get worse and weirder as time goes on. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen when they start trying to get this. I don't know. I'm scared of this election, Mike. I'm not scared of the election. I'm scared of the day after of like, because it's just no matter who supposedly wins or doesn't win, it's going to be a giant, chaotic scene. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of, it just there's gonna be a lot of disruption in our businesses, and I feel like there's gonna be a lot of disruption in moving the needle forward for at least the next 6 months. As much as we wanna think like, "Yay, things are they're paying attention," it's like I don't know. Even with having Trump and Kennedy at the Bitcoin conference, I'm not a political person, but it just seems like we're gonna be up against some weird shit. Um, and I don't know, just as a business person, I'm like, "Is this the right time to go launch things? Is this the right time to keep going?" And I'm like, "It's always the right time. Move forward, I suppose."
Of
Um,
course, it's the right time.
yeah.
It's the best time.
The best time. See, look at you, Mr. Positivity.
It is. It's the best time if you've survived this. Um, I think we're in good shape, and to be completely honest with you, a lot of our companies are having record months and record
Nice.
quarters.
Yes, good.
Um, and maybe some are in some trouble right now. But a lot of companies are doing well, whether it's like your sats back on
Mhm,
everything that
mhm.
you own or when you purchase or whatever, or the exchanges. I mean, I'm pretty boring. I love investing in kind of those boring type of companies, that are just like selling Bitcoin and like slowly starting to offer like little products and services that are familiar to you. But like, I can't pay my credit card bill from my Swan account right now. I
Yeah.
can't, there's a lot of things that you can't do um, just yet. So let's see what this next phase offers. Also, like if an Uber or if one of these type of companies is going to adopt Bitcoin payments and integrate it, like, what do you think they're gonna do? Do you think they're gonna, like, build it from scratch? Do you think they're gonna contact an open node or an IBEX Pay? Like, what are they going to do? Or Lightspark maybe? If TikTok was gonna implement Bitcoin tipping, what would they do? Would they build it themselves, or would they use a Breeze SDK or something else, So, you just kinda have to think about, like, the future for what this looks like. What do Bitcoin ATMs look like in the future? Are there Bitcoin ATMs in the future? You know? I
Who
mean,
knows?
there's regular ATMs now,
Yeah,
Why doesn't the cannabis industry adopt Bitcoin? I mean, it's like built for Bitcoin, we have the medical card here in Florida. You go to the store, you're like, it's literally cash or like an ATM in the corner. Like, what are they doing?
I know. I
Like,
asked that's funny, I was in Detroit, and I was at a store as well, and I was like, "Can you guys accept Bitcoin?" And they're like, "Nope, we can only do cash and your debit cards." And I'm like, "Why can't you accept It just doesn't make sense. Like, why can't we have this layer in there? What would it be like? I know, I think I remember reading something that Elon is looking at getting money, like MTLs in all the different states. And so it's like, is he gonna have some kind of, uh, in-app, currency, or is it for Bitcoin, or is it for, the dumb dog thing, or you know what I mean? Like, how would that work if a giant app like TikTok um, or X or any of these like integrated Bitcoin? Would they have to go through that whole process that you said to get like the $2 million money transmitter licenses in every state? And then
well,
obviously every country, how would that work for these giant platforms?
that's interesting. Is it a gray area or is it black and white? Because Wallet of Satoshi, right? One of our beloved Lightning wallets. If you've been in the Bitcoin space, you love Wallet of Satoshi, at least its simplicity. I mean, if you want a non-custodial, but like, it's a fun, easy
Yeah.
way to onboard somebody and it just works and it's nice. Well, they pulled out of the US. They made that decision to leave the US. And I believe Blink, the wallet they
Mhm.
used formerly Bitcoin Beach Wallet, also fantastic user experience, such a great phone wallet. If you're onboarding someone and they use the Blink wallet, like it just works. You're not terrified writing down 24 words and don't do this, that, and the other. It's just like, oh, so link it to your email address. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And it works, right? They made the choice to leave the region and leave the area. You have things like Mutiny Wallet. I don't know if it was because of a regulatory thing. I don't know if there was in like what was going on internally. Maybe people want to do other things. I really don't know. But they're not in the US, right? You still have Breeze here.
Yeah.
Phoenix Wallet. I
I
believe
know
Phoenix
Phoenix is
pulled
gone
out.
too. So
Okay. So
it's like,
why
what
so
do we use? What are people using? Are they just using Strike and Noster? Like, how are people like, 'cause that's I use Strike. I had a Moon wallet. I don't like Moon wallet at all. Um, it doesn't seem to work when I need it to. But yeah, it's like how are they gonna keep moving forward if everybody keeps getting pushed out and pushed out and pushed out? Like, what can we use?
Well, I think they'll have to find a way, right? So innovation will find a way where it was like non-custodial. There was a way, and now it seems that people don't really want to challenge that right now. And is that how you end up getting arrested? Is that how you end up getting taken down? Is in that gray area?
Yeah, no
Um,
thanks.
but I don't know. I think that um, they'll just they'll have to make it legal, or they'll just crack down on it. They'll figure out a way to make you put in your name and a picture of your ID if you're gonna have a speed wallet. I mean, I think the speed
Mm,
wallet now makes you KYC yourself or whatever. And Strike is a great user experience. Like, it works great as a
yeah.
mobile wallet or whatever. And if you're not really concerned with privacy and knowing every bartender tip and thing that you do, then that's a great option for most people. But if you're like in defense of privacy and want maybe use Zeus with your own node at home, right? And that's like hours and hours of good luck to you. Uh,
I know, I think a lot of do you think one of the barriers to adoption or just certainly getting people's foot in the door is just the fear and the complexity of, the seed phrases and, "Oh, I don't have customer service that I can call," like they're it's like phase 1 of onboarding a new user into the Bitcoin space is like, okay, go to Coinbase or go to not that I want anyone to ever go to Coinbase, but, go somewhere where you can feel like I can call somebody, and then, okay, now we're going to do self custody. Okay, now we're going to run a node. Okay, now we're going to go do some mining. All right, now I'm starting a company, et cetera. Like 5 stages of, your Bitcoin journey. What do you think the biggest thing that you've seen that people resist and that they're scared of?
I think it is still a pretty terrifying user experience if you're gonna go through, setting someone up with their first hardware wallet
Mhm.
and explaining that whole process to them. I still think that that's really tough, and it just takes a bit to learn,
Yeah.
right? Like handling a firearm for the first time. Uh,
Bec
Probably a certain amount of terrifyingness just holding that, no matter how many 8-hour courses you've went through.
Oh
But,
my god.
um but that's definitely a part of it, and I just think that if you're starting small, right? My mom started small earlier this year, and she's doing great so far, and this Christmas, when she opens that brand new Trezor, we're gonna set it up together, and she's gonna have a whole new what's a mnemonic seed phrase, and we're gonna go through all that this year, so I'm looking forward to that.
I wanna hear a little bit more. I love stories. Like, what was her tipping point where she finally agreed to say, "Okay, Mike, I'm gonna trust you and let you get me some Bitcoin, or I'm gonna get some Bitcoin." Like, what how many turns in the pickle jar did you have to do before she finally submitted and said yes?
Many, unfortunately, like, she should have been a Bitcoiner a long, long, long time ago, and I didn't realize it, but what it actually took was just giving her a gift that was Bitcoin.
Mhm.
And you have to sign in. It was actually one of those Swan, gift things.
Cool,
And so you're gonna sign in, you're gonna fill out the thing, and then it's gonna be sitting in your account, right? And
cool.
then seeing just kind of that go up and watching it, and then setting up a little recurring buy every week and just
Mhm.
getting started slowly but surely. That was a good move. So, Bitcoin gifting, I think, is one of the best ways, and not just like, having someone download a wallet and giving it to them, right? That's fine too, but like through a trusted exchange and, like, going on and
Mhm.
filling it out. Because once they're signed up, I got somebody downloaded the Strike wallet the other day. I was tipping a bartender.
Mhm.
Don't like to do that, but whatever, right? Let's get you the wallet or whatever. And, they linked all of their info. Like, I didn't have to do anything. I sent them, the $10 tip. It was there. And I went back to this bar. It was a kava bar, 2 or 3 times. And every time I would tip in Bitcoin to this person's Strike wallet. And the Bitcoin price crashed one day. And I went into the kava bar and I didn't even say anything. The bartender looks at me and says, I bought the dip. And I was just like, this person was sold. I didn't have to teach him anything. We were just talking about buying. This was just like he figured it out himself, and like that's what he did. So I don't know. I think it's cool to set people up like that. It's hard to do that with a hardware wallet. Right now, I'm plugging in a
Yeah.
USB device, and what am I doing? And I got to do that. It's not just easy. It's like, oh, hey, the price is down today. I'm gonna buy $20 worth or whatever
Well,
it
and I
is.
think the cool thing too, like when I was in Nashville, I was trying to tip the what do you call it? The golf cart guy from the hotel, and he was busy and it was just taking a little bit of time. And so I was like, I'll be back here in the morning and download this app and then we'll figure it out. And you're gonna get, $10 and I'll get $10. And he was like, oh, cool. And then I'm like, and then you can orange pill all of your guys that are standing around here and you're gonna give them $10 for signing up, And so there was just that instant domino effect that they were all excited about because everyone was listening. They're like, "Well, how do I do it?" I'm like, "All right, talk to your friend here who just went through the whole process." And so, I think it's a fun way, especially in the service industry, um, for people to do that with each other, and it's easy. And you're right, like people aren't going to go get a hardware wallet necessarily, but almost every single person's got a phone, and so it's easy to download these quick apps. It might take a minute to get your driver's license up and all the stuff, but at least it's like, all right, here's the puppy in the hands of the person. So it's that it's important. Um, I know we're hitting the top of the hour here. I want to just circle back just and talk about you for a little bit, Mike, because,
Let's talk about you.
let's talk about you, brother. How the heck did you go from punk rock to venture capital? Like what that's an interesting bridge. And then we can wrap it up and, give everybody some hugs and love and all that.
Well, Bitcoin is punk rock for sure.
It is,
So
yeah.
Bitcoin is very punk rock. Um, I don't know, I just knew that I always wanted to work in music ever since I was very young. That was what I cared about, that was what I did, and I was that guy. Had a record label in high school, ran
Whoa.
a ran away from home when my parents told me that I couldn't run it, and I was forbidden to run this record label at 16. I just got in my car and just drove off.
What? I
Yes,
didn't know
that's
this
true.
about you. Oh,
It's true. And, they caved. 2 days later, they said, "Just come home, you can run your little record label or whatever you wanna do," and that was good. So yeah, and I just started booking concerts, and I
cool.
lived above a pretty famous venue called the Nile Theater in Mesa, Arizona. Held about 1,200 people upstairs, 400 people downstairs, and, it was a really cool, fun, just it just it's almost seems so different now thinking
Mhm.
about where we're at in post-COVID, like, right now, the way
Mhm.
people are. I mean, no cell phones, like, going into a room that holds 700 people, but there's, like, 1,300 in there, and you're just wall to wall. It's just the walls are sweating, just melting, like, everything like, your belt is, like, warped, whatever you're wearing, okay, and there's no cell phones, everyone's present in the moment, okay, people jumping off stages, and nobody suing anybody, and
Mhm.
nobody getting upset, and there were only 2 restrooms, um, and it was a whole 'nother type of, like, very special
Yeah.
time. And, I think that venture capital is like that with what is artist development, which is if
Mm.
you're doing a band,
Yeah.
it's 50 people. There's
Yeah.
50 people in the basement. For the first time we booked Dashboard Confessional, there was 50 people there. He was on a bar stool by himself. And next time there was 300. And then pretty soon there's a few thousand. And at that point in time, you just can't. take them anymore, right? Clear
Yeah.
Channel, Live Nation, House of Blues, whoever, like they're gonna get the tour and you're not, but you just take them as far as you possibly can on that ride, right?
Mhm.
Maintain those relationships. So I think that there's a little bit of a parallel there between the music business and early stage running an early stage startup or venture investing in them.
I love that. I think that's a great analogy, and, it does make sense. I know, obviously, I'm a DJ and have been a DJ for a long time, and, I just feel like there's so much, things that music can do for us in our hearts, our souls, as a community, as, in our relationships and our daily lives, and if we're not really utilizing this one tool that was been given to us, by God, spirit, universe, Fred, whatever you call all that, uh, we're missing out on a color in the crayon box, you know what I mean? And it's like, why would you not wanna have music in your life and have it integral in your life? And you obviously have brought something really special to all of the Bitcoin events lately, and Satoshi Nakamoto. You wanna tell everybody what that is? And, it's so awesome what you're doing.
I feel like we should do more Rakamotos.
We should just do a Bitcoin music festival. I keep getting knocks on my
Okay,
DMs,
are
like,
you gonna
"When?"
race for that on Thunder Funder?
I don't know. Is that a thunderable thing that we could do a Bitcoin? Well, see, this is the thing, and I've got a proposal I'm starting to work on, is doing like a little mini tour, but I'm like, okay, that's just for Val and some videos and maybe some dancers or something. But like doing a whole tour and a festival for Bitcoin music, it's like, is that something that is there a product market fit for that? And can we get enough people, to go, that's going to make it like, I've never done a festival tour or anything like that. I mean, that would be fun.
I think making music, an integral part of every Bitcoin conference or
Mhm.
event is, like, the best first start, and I think
Yeah.
that you are championing that entire movement. I
No,
think that
we
high
are, we are. High five to us. We're rocking it
um,
together. Thank
Val
goodness
is
for the promoters
DJing.
for letting us do it.
Val knows that I'm an old man and I like timeless classics,
Me too.
so she usually saves a few of those for me, easy on the techno and all of that. But yeah, so Satoshi Nakamoto is just a fun thing that happens. It's a fun show, and we have Bitcoiners or just people, because that's the cool thing about Bitcoin, right? Is everyone's so unique and cool. I used to do these Bitcoin chess tournaments, and you just set up 5 chessboards at a Bitcoin conference and like they just go. They like everyone will just do like that will just you don't need to tell people what to do. And
Right.
that's what we kind of figured out with a stage full of gear at a Bitcoin conference. And next thing you know, we got Canute and Gabe Higgins and who'da knew Samson Mao had a angst phase with some Nirvana and stuff back then. So there's just a lot of people who come out and if you know how to play music or want to play music or whatever level, maybe you just want to sing like Nico's girlfriend, Sophie,
Oh my god.
or Giacomo's wife, Mir. She's a professional vocal coach. We found that out. So she
I didn't know
usually,
that. Oh,
yes.
wow.
She usually sings quite a bit at the Rockamoto. So, depending on your skill level, right? If you just played House of the Rising Sun for 3 months when you were 17, we will make that happen for you. You're gonna get up there, you're gonna rock that House of the Rising Sun, preferably, hopefully with a live band, backing you and supporting you. So that's pretty much it. So we've had a few really good events. I'm so bummed we didn't do one in Riga, just now. Like, I wish I
Hmm.
could have went. I mean, I have FOMO from that. I'm sure you do too.
Nope.
Um,
FOMO-licious. Are you
but,
gonna be in El Salvador?
I'm thinking that I'm skipping El Salvador this year.
What else? What's on
I'm
your
trying to
dance
chill.
card?
We have to get this platform rolling,
I know, I
all
hear
right?
you.
We can
Yep.
rock and roll later. I'm gonna go to TabConf,
Okay.
'cause I think I had something get accepted where I'm gonna be able to chat a little bit about crowdfunding, for your
Nice.
open source project, so I'm excited about that. I absolutely hate Atlanta, but, now it's at Georgia Tech campus, it's gotta be better that, like, it was at this terrible CNN building before the last few years. It was like literally the worst place ever. So
Yeah.
I'm so excited that it's at Georgia Tech campus. And so I'll be at that. And then I think I'm going to hit Amsterdam, although I just mailed in my passport. I just got it renewed. I paid for the expedited, so that's in October, and there's talk of a Rakamoto in Amsterdam. It's in the
For real.
works right now, and we got to get you spinning if you're going.
Well, I would love to. I know I might be in Portugal at the first week in August or October. I'm like, well, Amsterdam's not that far from Portugal, I heard. So maybe I can bust over there uh for a bit. I sure would love to do that. And do you have just I want do you have like 3 or 4 minutes to talk about value for value?
For you, of course.
Yay! Well, it's not for me, it's for the listeners. So, um, um, obviously we're talking about music, and people need to have as many revenue streams as possible. What are your thoughts on value for value using Bitcoin for content creators, whether you're a podcaster or a musician? Do you think it's just a little hype cycle, or do you think it's something that could be a long term way? Not that it's going to be the only source of revenue for artists and creators, but what do you think about value for value?
Well, we invested in Fountain. So
Yeah.
we ran a
Mhm.
syndicate for Fountain. Love Oscar. He was actually one of the first companies that we talked to before we even had it together,
Cool.
with Lightning Ventures, and what he's doing. And by the way, like, Fountain just works. When I had that Lightning Ventures thing and we were doing more content, an ad on Fountain really worked. And we had
Really?
yeah, to promote your show on Fountain, like, it absolutely works, and
Oh,
you could
dude, I
put in,
need to
like,
know this. Okay. We're
20 or
doing a
50
podcaster
ads.
summit with Barry from Pod Home and Oscar from Fountain and then Adam Curry on September 28th. And so, I've never paid for an ad for anything ever, but you think that's a good way to promote your shows?
Well, I can just tell you that it worked, and we were trying it because we were investing in Fountain, and we were trying it just to see, but you can set it
Mhm.
to promote no matter what your latest episode is or a specific episode or whatever, but, a few dollars in there, like, really worked. And then also, like, creating your own ad, like, we had crypto couple, Carla and Walker, they
Mhm.
created a really funny Lightning Ventures ad. I love it.
I
It
love that.
sometimes
They're the
gets
best.
flagged because we used a real song,
Oh.
but I love this ad, it's so funny. So yeah, that totally works, and, like, how fun is that, for podcasts that are in normie land? I mean, I wish they were all claiming their shows on Fountain. I wish the big, workout guys and gym guys and mental health guys and Lex Friedmans of the world, like, if they
Mhm.
claimed their show on Fountain and actually got a chance to interact with people more, and they saw that maybe the sats were adding up or whatever they were doing, I mean, that would be great. So, love Fountain and love Value for Value. We also invested in Wave Lake.
Cool.
Um, I've known Sam, the founder over there, for, like, also, like, 30 years. He was in the band that I managed on Elektra Records, and
No
he was
way.
he was one of my partners with the concert company. So,
Wow.
like, the music industry is totally ripe for disruption, whether it's, everything from ASCAP, BMI, how royalties are paid, these things
Totally.
that these things that have been teased over the years, like when Radiohead put their album out and that turned out to be a huge success by making it free and taking donations, and just making more money essentially doing that. Like, people have been innovating in this area and trying new things, and I love it. They have big plans. They have big plans.
Yeah, I see this as gonna be the future, and I believe it can help disrupt, um, the McDonald's hat wearing artists. We want our artists creating art, not necessarily flipping burgers, so that they can make ends meet. So I think, any avenues that we can help educate and get them on board is gonna be really helpful and important. Um, where can everybody find you, Mike?
So thunderfunder.com is our new thing. You should sign up there. If you see a bug or something wrong, you should tell us so we can fix it immediately.
Okay.
That's where we're at with this project. LTNG.ventures is Lightning Ventures. There's still a
Mm.
bunch of stuff there too. If you want to get into that deal flow there or learn a little bit more or find out about other stuff, there's that. And yeah, I'm on Twitter, just my name, Mike Jarmuz, Jarmuz, and and that's pretty much it. And I really hope that we have some deals live on Thunder Funder soon, Val, soon.
Okay, when they go live, you gotta ping me so I can, put them out and help you guys get some awareness out there. So this'll be good with my very humble audience. So, yeah, this
Well,
is exciting.
Val is working on a lot of things in her secret lab that
I
she's
haven't
not letting on about, but
Yes,
she's got a lot of business stuff going on that I'm excited about.
good. I am excited about it too. I wanna make sure that they get to fruition and are actually viable babies before we put them out in the world. Um, yeah, this is great. Any final words for a founder or somebody who's wanting to invest, or maybe even just somebody who's new to Bitcoin? Last words from the Muzz.
Don't be discouraged. I'm right there with you right now, and, raising money in this environment is hard, and it's almost impossible in a lot of cases, so it
Mhm.
really comes down to actually building something and getting revenue off of 0 and seeing what you can do with nothing almost, you know? If you're lucky enough to get a few $100,000 scraped together, use it smart and try to get some revenue, right? Instead of, a lot of people think, oh my God, I've got this great idea for a company. I need to raise $3 million. Those days are not really happening right now, especially pre revenue before, where you could kind of just sell the dream. You could kind of just raise a bunch of money and almost effortlessly raise $1 million to $2 million. Those days are gone. So it really does matter about your business and what you're doing. And, cutting the burn and getting to profitability, and like, what are you doing and the viability of it. So that's nice because it cuts all of that froth right off and throws it out. But at the same time, you actually have to have a business model, and it's very discouraging. And a lot of these companies, some of the ones we've been talking about here, very hard to raise, and they're real things. We're talking about these companies, and it's hard to raise, right? When you're doing real things. So that's our mission. Our mission is to try and help those companies and to democratize this stuff for you, right? Because people think venture capital and like, okay, Val, you should invest in the Muzz fund. Give me $100,000. I'm going to invest it for you, and I'm going to make you proud. Okay, that's great and all. There's a lot of people that do that. Oh, and I'm going to charge you fees, by the way.
Of course.
There's a lot of people who do that. Okay, but what I'm passionate about, and by the way, it doesn't make as much money as the other stuff. I should do that instead of this. But what I'm passionate about is saying, Val, I want you to invest. I want you to make your own decisions. And I want you to stay up late at night reading a 12-page deal memo thinking, wow, this is fucking cool. Should I like put $1,000 into this thing? Like, this is so cool. Like, okay, I'm going to do it. Right. And then you made that decision. Right. And it's our job to not put crap in front of you. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's our job to screen it, to source the deals, to do all of our hard work and due diligence, and kind of, because it doesn't help us when everything goes bye bye. Okay. Nobody wins. Okay. It's not like we're getting paid for that. So that's our job. And then you get to make that decision and do stuff for yourself. So that's what I'm all about. And hopefully we can continue to fund more of these companies and bring opportunities out to the people who want to take a ride.
I love it. I hope so too. I can't wait to see what's happening in 5 years with Underfunder and all the companies that you're gonna help get off the ground and all the problems that are gonna get solved through this effort. So way to go, and, keep punk rock alive, my friend. Yay. Thank you again so much for taking time to talk to the audience and share everything. And everybody who tuned in, thanks again. And make sure you go follow Mike, follow him on Twitter, follow him on the website, and sign up at thunderfunder.com, and make sure you get on that mailing list so you can learn. And even if you don't have a project that you need funded, maybe you have a friend that does. So keep them in the loop. And until next time,